父がいるウルトラの母がいるそして太郎がここにいる空を見ろ星を見ろ宇宙を見ろ彼方から迫り来る赤い色
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 88. My name is Red. I am joined by Mel.
I'm glad Taro is going back to first principles in the final stretch with episodes about mommy and also barely disguised fetishes.
Yeah, it's important stuff. It really is. Gotta go, stay with the roots. Also joined by Brad.
No, I'm in the bean. Don't eat me.
Do not eat the bean that has Brad in it. Please, dear listener. When it's Setsubun, do not eat the bean that has people in it. Do not eat evil beans. Coming up, a son who's read the medical miracle rulebook, and a father who hasn't. A kaiju that's really into a veggie diet, and a kaiju that isn't. We have 4 episodes of Taro today. But first, what have we been up to? I don't think I'm going first this time.
I can go because I have one thing that's a continuation. I've played more Tales of Phantasia. I'm still having a really good time. That game I'm now like about a third of the way in, according to my friend who's played the game a couple times, and I ran into a few parts that are fairly annoying. You reach a point in that game where you need to go do something. Like, you need to go talk to this great guardian spirit of the world to, like, get advice on what to do next. But before you can do that, you need to go over the world's map and find a total of 4 elemental spirits, and, like, they basically serve as, like, your Final Fantasy summons. So you need to go hunt down and get all 4 of those. And at that point in the game, like, you just through, like, the main story, you have one and you've probably stumbled onto a second. But then it's just like, okay, progress in this giant 9-floor dungeon until you hit a point where it's like, oh no, I guess we gotta go leave and go get another spirit and then come back. And, like, it's kind of neat, but the actual dungeon's puzzles are just a little annoying to, like, every time I go back there, I'm like, oh, I don't want to fucking deal with this place again. And then after that, you have to track down a guy who is hunting for basilisk scales, which is a rare enemy on the overworld map, and, because it's a basilisk, it can petrify you, so it's kind of dangerous. And the scales don't always drop, so there's literally a point in the game where it's just like, well, go hunt for, like, 5 of these rare drops on the overworld map for, like, an hour, and I'm just like, okay, I didn't need this, but overall, still having a good time.
The 90s.
Yeah, it's, that game continues to astound me in how, like, weirdly tabletop-brained it feels sometimes. Like, it's very bizarre to me how much, like, wizardry and kind of, like, even Record of Lodoss War DNA is in this thing. Just in terms of how it handles its plot and some of its, like, the RPG side of its mechanics. It's also just kind of neat, getting to fights in that game where, like, they're playing around with, like, okay, you have a bunch of enemies on screen that all have different degrees of threat or different degrees of capabilities. Sometimes they're in the air, sometimes they have, like, a big meaty enemy in front of them and they're in the back harassing you with spells. And not only do you have to think of, like, okay, how do I maneuver my way so that I'm in the perfect position to, like, attack and harass everyone I need to attack and make sure that they, like, I'm interrupting their more devastating abilities. But then also, too, a lot of, like, I'm at the point in the game now where when I'm up against something serious, I'm doing a lot of, like, okay, combo for 5 seconds, and then I'm pausing 4 times in a row to command all of my party members to do a specific spell or debuff or something to make sure that I'm optimizing everything. And it's fun. I had a friend watching who was like, I feel like this game would annoy me because, you know, when you're playing like a game that's kind of an action RPG like this, sometimes you don't want that flow to stop. But I think, especially considering the game's age, it does a really good job of... like the more minor encounters you can kind of just slash your way through, but then when you reach something that's a little bit more intimidating, you just have to lock in and kind of balance, like, okay, I'm going to do a combo or 2, and then I need my magic user to deal, like, the devastating AoE attack, and I need my healer to start doing, like, accuracy debuffs, just to make sure we're all alive and stuff like that. It's fun.
Yeah.
Having a good time still. We streamed more Abyss as well, and a lot of, like, plot happened. That was fun.
Yeah, we had, like, a minimal gameplay session yesterday. It was basically, like, 2.5 hours of going between cutscenes.
And it ruled.
Yeah, it was good in its own way.
Sick.
Yeah. I'm thinking... I also kind of feel... Not entirely the same, but I get it when you talk about, like, D&D brain for Phantasia. Because my experience with Symphonia was like... What do you mean Tales games have dwarves and elves in it? And I realized that was just literally just a Phantasia and Symphonia thing only.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, you know what's actually... like, the elves have kind of been in the background of Phantasia so far. Like, the one big thing... So in that game, I think I talked about the first time I talked about it, there's a little bit of a Chrono Trigger setup going on here, like, vaguely, just in terms of the fact there's time travel, but, like... Basically, the evil sorcerer, like, demon overlord man has been reawakened JRPG, you know, classic JRPG stuff. So one of the old heroes that dealt with him back in the day goes, well, I'm just gonna send you to the past where, like, magic was stronger and better. See if you can find something in the, like, 100 years ago that you can bring back to the present that can defeat him. And there's some interesting stuff going on where humans can kind of play around with magic and dabble with it a little bit, but it's mostly in the form of making pacts with, like, elemental spirits and summons and stuff like that. The real magic users in the settings are the half-elves and the elves. And I'm about to go to the big elven forest that, you know, it's a bunch of elven mages that are like, we don't want to talk to humans anymore, they're mean to us, so we're just going to go off and do our own thing. But yeah, there's a lot of fun with that too. Like, right before that, it's like, oh, go talk to this really important wizard guy. But before you do that, you need to get a letter of recommendation from another wizard, or else he wants nothing to do with you. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can I take this and pivot into real ass D&D?
Yes.
So I am here. I have come with an announcement. With great regret, I must announce that Thaco makes sense.
I mean, it kind of do be making sense.
It kind of just makes sense. I started Baldur's Gate 1, like, enhanced edition, so not actually Baldur's Gate 1, but Baldur's Gate 1. And I was having this thing. It's like, okay, so perhaps this game will finally explain to me what Thaco is. And it clicked in my head, and I was like, okay, everyone is really bad at explaining Thaco. Because it's literally just... It's the number you have to beat when you roll to attack someone. All you do is when you roll to attack, you add your bonuses to your attack, and you add the enemy AC to your attack. And then if you've beaten your Thaco, that's it, you've hit them. Well done. You don't actually have to understand it to make it work, it's fine. Why is it called to hit armor class 0? Don't worry about it. It makes sense to someone.
My introduction to Thaco was playing Stars Without Number, where they have it, but they reverse the math. So what it is you do your attack roll, and then you add your 2 hit bonus, which would be your Thaco score or whatever, and then you add the enemy's armor class, and if that is equal to or greater than 20, you hit. And then as soon as I hit Thaco, I'm like, wait, that's just a different way of saying that. Okay,
that's
yeah.
what it is. When people try to explain Thaco, they're always fucking about with, like, they pull out, they explain what it means to hit armor class 0, and it's all designed right, and then they pull out a chart that shows, like, oh, this number makes that you have this AC, that means that you have to hit if an enemy has this AC, you have to hit this Thaco, and I'm like, no, you're stupid. You're doing it the wrong way round.
I have never heard of Thaco in my life, so I'm just nodding like, oh, I see.
Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition thing, kind of infamous for being, like, annoying. It's the way they measure how you hit things, whether you hit an enemy or not. And it can be... It's fine. It's fine. It makes sense. I can also kind of see how you arrive at it as an idea. I think it's kind of stupid, but, I see how it happens.
I feel like I tend to prefer the older editions of D&D, in terms of gameplay. The one thing that I will give 3rd edition on is I just think the ascending armor class thing makes more sense, but...
So, yeah, I'm playing Baldur's Gate. That's one, because I've decided I'm playing Planescape Torment this year.
What
class did you pick?
What, for Baldur's Gate 1?
Yeah.
Well, I'm playing Enhanced Edition, so it has the Baldur's Gate 2 subclass system in it. So I'm playing an Inquisitor Paladin. I've imported a little bit of fan art of Saber from Fate Stay Night. So that's me. I'm also using the Dungeon Meshi mangaka's portraits for a lot of the characters.
Did you get to the part of the game... Beamdog is the name. Did you get to the part of the game where you run into the first Beamdog OC, and it is the most obvious thing in the world that this was not in the original Baldur's Gate?
I ran into Dawn. I don't think I ran into the one that, like, interrupts you to insert themselves into the game.
I kind of felt that way with Dorn when
that
encounter.
I think that might be the one, I guess. But it's like, I was just like, oh, this is Dawn. He's like I looked him up. I was like, oh, this is one of the guys. I'm not having you in my party. You're fake. You're not real.
Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, there's a brooding, like, is he like a half-orc man? And like this cutscene is like all voice acted when nothing else around it in the game was. I'm just like, okay, this is... Yeah, I was immediately like, what the fuck? What are we doing here?
It's like sudden voice acting in game. That's new stuff. Devs have interfered.
It was like the CRPG equivalent of a new translation reanimated scene.
Yeah.
I had to look up Enhanced Edition just to understand what you meant by it not being the original, and now I understand.
Yeah, they remade them.
Yeah,
they remade.
When you say when I heard Enhanced Edition, my mind goes to, oh, that's just like, they re-released it with the expansions like a couple years later, right? And then it's like, no, that's just different game actually.
It's still essentially the same game. It's just that it's they apparently cut out all the FMVs though and replaced them with weird animatics. That's a shame.
Are you doing Siege of Dragonspear?
No, I'm not touching that.
Nobody I know likes it. Nobody I know likes it.
So you're doing this as homework for Planescape Torment, basically.
I'm doing this as I want to play. I do want to play Baldur's. I want to play these games. And as I want to play Planescape Torment, I figure, well, I'll play Baldur's Gate first. Might as well.
Yeah, I've never.
I might even play Baldur's Gate 2 before I play Planescape. I don't know. We'll see.
2 is like a big like blank spot for me where it's like, fuck, I should actually go like around and finish 2 and Throne of Ball.
I literally have just not played a CRPG before, so there's like, I feel like I should play some at some point.
People like Pillars of Eternity.
Pillars of Eternity is my go-to. I think that's like the most beginner friendly, while also like it's still very
It's still
clearly
got
a
that jank.
CRPG. Yeah, like you're gonna wrestle with it a little bit.
And there's also gonna be like you're gonna be like trying to wrap your head around numbers to make combat feel nice.
Yeah.
But the thing about Pillars of Eternity that from what I have played of it, I liked, and I will be going back to it, but not right now. Is that it's a system made for a video game. They're not porting Dungeons and Dragons to video games.
Yeah.
Which can be annoying. Pillars of Eternity has like this whole system, and I think it's quite neat for a real-time with pause game.
Do they insist in Pillars on like they're still using dice?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
no, they are.
they?
If you highlight over it, you can see the roll.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It's good. There's lots of like building like your dex equivalent or whatever is like gonna like speed up how fast it takes for you to recharge your turn, and so like it's got like you will be able to take turns faster than other people if you have a higher dex or something like that.
It's interesting what different games do with the stat dexterity.
Yeah, I mean it's basically like Final Fantasy VII.
I see.
Now that I have said this, now that I have compared real time with pause to
ATB.
To ATB.
I mean, I don't.
We can move on before someone tries to kill me.
I don't even think that's necessarily the craziest assertion.
It's just true. True. And yet there are people that will hear that and go, "No, not the same. One's good."
I haven't played a real time with pause game, so I'm just I haven't really.
The thing is, any real time with pause can be turn based if you pause fast enough.
Every real time with pause people love to say that, and they're all fucking wrong.
I am more of a turn-based guy than a real-time with pause guy.
Actually, wait. Vagrant Story might be real-time with pause game. I need someone to confirm this for me.
Like Parasite Eve? That's real-time with pause. Absolutely.
Brad, would you say Vagrant Story is real-time with pause?
Maybe. Yeah. If ATB counts, that definitely counts.
Hang on, is there pause in Parasite Eve? I don't know about Vagrant Story, but it's got a similar thing, right?
It has the wireframe aiming thing, but I haven't played Parasite Eve, so I don't know how exactly the same it is versus is just a similar aesthetic thing. Mm-hmm. But like in Vagrant Story,
the real time with pause versus turn based thing in like CRPGs is very funny because you wind up with like the Divinity Original Sin 2s of the world, where like it's turn based, but like it's got all the problems of like your average real time with pause combat game, but now combat takes 1 million years.
Just in Vagrant Story, like you move around in real time, but then you press the attack button and open your targeting sphere.
Okay, yeah.
Which pauses.
And you have a bajillion different things to select on the enemy.
You target different parts of the enemy's body,
mm-hmm.
and then you select and you do your attack, and you can chain together multiple attacks.
So Fallout.
It's a little VATS coded, I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe it is VATS. But then like after you're done your attack, it goes back to real time. And then like when the enemy attacks, it pauses, and you just sit and take it.
Mm-hmm.
I keep wanting to play that Temple of Elemental Evil game that they made in the early 2000s. It sounds like a shit show mess.
What, the Troika guys?
Yes. I stumbled onto them. I don't remember his name, but like Timothy Kane or something. But like the main designer guy on it had like he's making YouTube videos talking about his experience in like the game development industry, and he had a few videos on Elemental Evil. Yeah. But he had a video talking about his experience making Elemental Evil, and it just sounded like a fucking nightmare because it was a Wizards of the Coast like license thing. They kept like calling to be like, oh, we can't do this anymore. Oh, you can't do that, and like they'd have to like change last minute. And this includes things like they had to take every child NPC out of the game because they were like, we don't want any controversy around, like, being able to put children in harm's way. So there's just numerous points in that game where people talk about children playing out in the yard, and, like, you go out there and there's no children, but you hear the sound of children laughing still. And, like, weird shit like that. I'm just like, this game development sounds like a nightmare. Mm-hmm. But I do want to play that game just because the Temple of Elemental Evil as, like, a thing interests me, because it's such a stupid, ambitious concept that, like, every iteration of it has been foiled by either corporate like mismanagement or Gary Gygax being an idiot and various other people involved, and just as like a relic of the hubris of old D&D, I think it's a fascinating cultural object.
I wonder if I can get anything from Tim Kaine working on Arcanum, because there's something about Arcanum that needs some interrogation, needs some investigating, and there isn't enough material to necessarily figure out anything for certain.
He has a lot of them. I just looked up Tim Kaine Arcanum, and like it's all him. He has a lot, actually. I'm still scrolling. So yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. That's good to know. Anyway, what is Mel? That's right.
Hello.
We're talking about what we're up to this week.
Yeah. I don't have too much.
That is okay. We got 4 episodes to talk about today.
Yeah, my classes started, and I was sick, so that made this last week hard. So we'll see what I can manage in the coming weeks. But anyway, I didn't finish in time for last week, but I finished another the second of Dai's attempts to rip off Banner, their 1962 movie The Great Wall, which is about Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, a founder of the Qin dynasty. And I feel like I don't have a lot to say about it, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the only subtitles I could find of it were absolutely terrible. It was entertaining to watch mostly, but also it's like the subtitles being bad, and also me not being like an expert on this period of Chinese history made me be like, I don't entirely know what's happening here. Like, I get the broad beats, like, this guy, concludes the Warring States period, unifies China, first emperor of China, famous for being a guy who nobody likes, and just his dynasty ending with his death, and then the Han dynasty rises from that and carries on the imperial system that he founds, basically. And so the movie is just like I think it's like plays out like it tries to play out like, I guess, like a tragedy of like the guy who, at least at the start, was a father to his men, but then after getting absolute power, starts to lose it, both by like, I gotta accept, classic from Romance of the Kingdoms, I gotta accept the big tower palace where I'm gonna bring all the women of the kingdom, but also when the Xiongnu attack and there's a massacre, he's like, I gotta build the Great Wall of China, and he sends forced labor to build the Great Wall of China, which I guess they built like a obviously not a full thing, but they did build like a real set for it, because they're doing the Ben-Hur thing, and no one is pleased with this. And also you gotta have the obligatory he's burning the Confucian books thing, and that's why he's got a bad reputation, because Confucians were the ones in charge of China for like 1,000 years after that. And yet he's like, everyone is like telling him, dude, you suck, you're terrible, and he's like, but I'm doing this for the good of China. That's why I'm building the wall. Why doesn't anyone appreciate me? It's silly. I can't tell how good the movie actually is because of how bad the translation is.
That's a shame.
I think it's again it's much like my gut impulse is just like like Buddha, it's like a valiant effort, but it probably always isn't going to hold a candle to like what they're doing in Hollywood, just with like what the resources Dai has at its disposal. Here's some choice subtitles.
Okay, let's see. Are you Dan? To enter into Grand Queer's room. Grand Queers?
That was definitely a typo.
Don't bullshit.
The space between bull and shit is pretty good. I don't know why.
Fantastic.
I also like the screenshot of like this. I posted this screenshot of like this like courtyard of like the palace he's building. Specifically because I was like, for some reason, I know there's obviously practical effects, but for some reason it reminds me of a '90s PC pre-rendered background render for like a mist or something.
Be honest,
I'm hearing Baldur's Gate.
I thought this was a video game screenshot at first glance.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
This looks like. Have either? Okay. This is not going to be. Have either of you two ever heard of Nightmare? Knightmare.
The thing from Code Geass?
Yes.
No. No. The TV show from Britain. Where
no.
a bunch of kids guide another kid who wears a helmet that makes it so that they can't see through a fantasy world, which is all like CG generated.
Is this a game show?
It is a game show. They're all stood on like green screen or whatever. And I'm just picturing those walls back there as like Nightmare set.
What the fuck is this? What?
Nightmare's crazy.
I looked up. This is like image number 2. What's happening?
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's Nightmare. That's the helmet. That's the helmet they have to wear.
Oh.
And they collect letters, and at any point, like it's sorcery, like the book Sorcery, they can use those letters to cast a spell.
Okay. I would have loved this as a kid, actually.
It was terrifying. It was hard. I couldn't watch it for more than like 10 minutes at a time. When I was a tiny small child. But yes, this movie.
Yeah. I mean, mostly just it's an effort. I wish there was a better translation, and I could probably appreciate more that way. Also, I would need to know a bit more of the history. I had to like look up the history in Wikipedia while I was watching, just to be like, who the fuck? What is this? That? Yeah.
They put that guy on screen like I should know who he is. Who is he? Yeah.
Unfortunately, like people in Romance of the Three Kingdoms like to like reference this period or like the period before.
Oh, I see.
Obviously, because it's like they'll be like, oh yeah, the king of Qi or the king of Qi did this, and they say that as like this is just like our times, because I guess it kind of was. But it doesn't mean I know what the history was. Because it's like 1,000 years before. So it's just one of those things where like if I had like a better like grasp of the Spring of Autumn / Warring States period, it might help. And also if the subs were just better, like
true,
because it's just a bit. You can get the broad strokes, but there's a lot I think you just get missing.
To enter into Grand Queer's room.
Yeah. You get there's some good effects though. And yeah, it's
Is it okay? I'm gonna take a wild guess at what do we think is the Grand Queer? Like, I don't know. Did you get an idea for who the Grand Queer was?
I assumed it was just a typo Grand Queen.
Oh, I see.
it was unfortunately not as fun as
I see.
It was like, because it was like in the context of like someone was pretending to be a eunuch to break into the palace to assassinate the emperor.
Oh, I see. Imagine if it was referring to a eunuch.
Yeah.
What a name.
I mean, there is a reason the eunuchs are the ones that are allowed in the in the Queen's room.
Yeah.
It is really funny that like Confucian scholars and of like Chinese history talk about like how bad the eunuchs are because there's the conflation of like moral quality with like how you treat your body. And yet they're like insistent on this political system which seems to necessitate eunuchs to function, and they do not question this.
So unfortunately we have to keep guys around that we think are inherently evil schemers.
Yeah. And how many of them choose versus don't choose to be emasculated? That's also not brought into the question. But class society, right, fellas? But yeah, that's about all I got to say that movie. It's just it feels like it's hard to get. It's like getting Blood for a Stone, where it's like the solo I can already comment on with like both my knowledge and the subtitles.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting experience just seeing like a Japanese film studio give like 2 cracks at like this genre that was way more prolific than you'd expect given how much they cost to make in the West. Like it's just crazy how many of these that like Hollywood made in the 50s and 60s, given how like crazy expensive they were. Which I guess makes sense that eventually they just stopped.
They just stopped completely.
Diminishing returns. But to make up for that, I'll just add like 2 small addendums that accidentally were thematically appropriate. One, I've again been making progress. Endgame territory now of Romance of Three Kingdoms.
You got through my favorite rivalry in the book.
Yeah. The protagonist of the book died. And now there's
spoilers for history. People die.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
I know it's shocking considering these this was from the 200s AD. But none of these guys are alive.
Nah.
Retro books are like the Odyssey, right?
God.
What do you mean 280 was 1800 years ago?
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Listen. I think Romance of the Three Kingdoms took place the amount of time since between now and Three Kingdoms was like about the time it took between Three Kingdoms and the Odyssey, funny enough.
That's fun.
That makes sense.
That's me snowballing.
History's big.
Yeah.
I don't like
it's
that.
Like it's like the thing they tell you about
you don't like history being. Oh, hold up. Let's rewind. Brad just said he doesn't like that history's big. What do you mean by that?
What if it was easily understandable and abbreviated for my tiny brain?
What if you could finish it in like a week?
Yeah.
Like you could watch the full like all 6 seasons of history.
You could watch the Bill Worst video.
Yep, that one. I haven't gone back and checked whether that video says anything about Israel.
I don't think it does.
It's, investigation required.
Listen, if it can't all fit in a "We Didn't Start the Fire" parody, what's the point? No.
Listen, Brad. Well, if you think you don't like that history is too big, you simply have to become a paleontologist, because then history becomes really small by comparison.
The paleontologist professor guy I knew was always saying this, actually, like unironically.
I mean, listen. Stegosaurus was alive longer than humanity was.
Yeah.
That is just like a fact of the world.
Yeah, but the Stegosauruses didn't invent communism either. So what are we doing?
I don't think dinosaurs had to worry about class society.
How do you know?
Well, I guess,
anything could have been happening back there.
And have you not seen Dinotopia?
No, I've seen the Super Mario Bros. Movie 1994 or something.
I genuinely think the thing that changed my view of history forever was the concept of the mass extinction event, and not the fact that there have been, 6.
Yeah,
and it's like, we could go away tomorrow, and it'd be fine. Everything would continue.
Yeah, the funny one, quote unquote, is that the one that killed the dinosaurs isn't even the biggest one.
Nope, not by a long shot.
It's a pretty big one, but it isn't the biggest one. Yeah. Dinosaurs are fucked up.
Dinosaurs are fucked. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Ultraman podcast voice.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs are fucked up. Let me tell you 6 wrong facts about dinosaurs.
Who killed the dinosaurs? One of the Ultra beings landed on Earth and was like, I gotta kill these fuckers, then I'll pave the way for humanity.
Humanity doesn't exist yet. I'm already fighting for them. Let me clear the non-mult into the sea.
Original sin.
The original sin.
But yeah, we're I think I have 14 chapters left. Everyone's 13. Let me see how many I got.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I got 15 chapters left. We're near the end.
Nice.
I heard that the rest of the book really speeds runs the last couple decades of the period because all the
after everyone interesting dies,
yeah.
That makes sense.
There's there's a few, they've got they'll
I've heard
wrap things up.
Japanese adaptations of
stop.
Just stop at this point, basically.
That's how much they're into Kongming.
Yeah. I guess now I can I can finally go back into rewatching Boy Kongming now and catch it.
Lol.
Pick up where the book leaves off.
Watch the opening of Kongming go, oh, spoilers for the book.
Oh yeah, I understand now.
Yeah.
Production history chart for Romance of the
He's so
Three
fucking
Kingdoms.
old and shit. God. The way Kongming's so... Kongming would be the most annoying character in the entire book if it wasn't for how he winds up.
Yeah. It is just kind of
You got no one, bro.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm the master tactician, and it's well, all your good units are gone, so there's only so much you can actually do.
Getting a leather, Sima Yi is just the only guy who's everyone's oh, we should head out and attack Kongming right now, and he's have you motherfuckers not been paying attention? Are you dumb? We're just gonna sit here.
His reaction to getting the taunt and the
and him
provoke.
And how is your master?
Yeah. And he's he's doing great. He's really micromanaging everything. He's getting 0 sleep. He's barely eating, and he's all right, that's all I need to know. I just gotta wait.
I'm waiting here. I ain't doing fucking nothing. I look forward to finding out your master's dead in a week.
Yeah, I did it's the post I made on Blue Sky that was oh yeah, Kongming remembered as a master tactician and strategist to this day, and then it's I am now invading the kingdom away. I am now invading the kingdom away for 20 chapters.
It's fun because it's this. The stalemate back and forth between him and Sima. The bit where it's strategically Sima Yi is winning, and then Kongming is pulling out every trick in the book to try to turn the tide, and it's he's got all these fucking gimmicks, and it's nothing. You don't have the mandate of heaven, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he obviously because the book is shoe propaganda. It's
they've got to pull this. They got
to show lots of tactical victories, even while the entire project is clearly stumbling. Because they have nothing. It's just like,
hang on. Is Kongming potential man?
he is the most potential man.
Kongming is the most potential man anyone has ever been. The sun was in his eyes. He needs to fight. Man.
I feel like it's also just not understated. Like Shu just doesn't really have resources in terms of like, you know, an economy.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Wei is like, you know, the Heartland, which presumably has like all the good resources and also access to the Silk Road, which probably helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there's still 3 kingdoms for now. I wonder if that will change me looks at the map of the globe right now.
Lol.
Yeah. I'd like to finish soonish. Like, you know, it's always been going on. Like, I started this book around the time your boy Kongming finished, so it's been a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be nice to cap it off.
Yeah, it's a good book.
And then I can finally play Dinosaur Warriors.
Oh, yeah, finally.
Yeah. The demo of Origins looks cool.
I have not been paying attention, but everyone says it looks like Dynasty Warriors is fucking back.
Yeah. So that'd be cool.
Every Dynasty Warriors I've attempted to play, I get like 5 to 10 hours in. I'm just like, I'm good.
maybe the key is getting 3 kingdoms built.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. No, I've tried this with Zelda, Berserk, and Gundam, and each time I'm like, well, I like this thing, and then I'm like, oh, these missions suck. I'm good.
Well.
Yeah. I think I need to like understand like what makes Muso click, because I've never really played a Muso game before. And I have to assume some of it has to do with like, even if it's not like the most in-depth combat in the way like a DMC or Bayonetta would be, there's like an element to like the map controlling that's like important.
I've heard that. I've also, like, a lot of the people I know who are into it are just like, oh, it's just sheer turn your brain off power fantasy.
Like, that's the thing you gotta remember, is that Koei Tecmo was the strategy game company, so of course they made the action game with the maps on it.
I've never played a game with the map control stuff that didn't just feel like it was an excuse to, like, oh, go over here now and slash these guys more, and I just...
Yeah.
I always end up getting tired.
There's got to be a fine line. I remember thinking about like there's some Blue Sky thread when people were doing like, oh, there's games that are important, back when people were shifting over to Blue Sky and needed to do like, you know, they needed excuses to post.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll post like games that I like. And I remember picking Star Wars Battlefront 1 over Battlefront 2, specifically because in Battlefront 1, it felt like there were battle lines, and you wound up with these wars of attrition over single points. And
shoutouts to the Cloud City map in Battlefront 1. It's so good.
Yes, it really is.
This might be just
the other thing about Muso to me is that it makes thinking about all the traits of Muso make perfect sense to me when I think, it got invented as what if we made a 3 Kingdoms game? I'm like, well, yeah, that's what you do. Yeah.
Like, you know, if you look at like the history of Koei before that, like, you know, they're making spreadsheet-ass games.
Mm-hmm.
Which you know, it's why I'm like, oh yeah, of course when they make a Souls-like, they make Neo. And of course when they think of which companies out there we want to like acquire as a subsidiary, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to get the time management alchemy girl company.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's you know, it's like, you know, there's like a DNA there, even if like, you know, Muso's associated these days mostly with like the power fantasy thing. But you know, my action game sicko friends are like Muso heads, so like they probably have like a appreciation for stuff that I could probably ask them what makes it click for them, which will probably help me.
I think it doesn't help that a lot of the ones I've tried are just like I know even Muso people are like, the Gundam ones are pretty mid. I don't think I've met a lot of Muso people that vouch for the Berserk one, but people seem to like Hyrule Warriors, and I'm just like, this it just feels boring. Like after the 5-hour mark,
people
it was
like Zelda too much. That's the problem.
I don't know about that. But
I just listen. Everyone played Breath of the Wild and was like, "Now Zelda's the best thing in the world." And then they made a Zelda Muso, and they were like, "Well, this is clearly going to be the best thing in the world." And maybe it's not.
Yeah, I'm just like, after 5 hours of those games, I'm like, I feel like I had my fill. I don't feel the need to go any further in.
Well, that's fine too. But I am curious about them. Just like that's an area of action games I haven't checked out. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth exploring.
I just want to know the guys first,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually we'll be able to do the Three Kingdoms Toku show for Corey.
Oh, naturally. So you've been reading Three Kingdoms.
Yes.
Did you say there was something else you've been doing?
Oh yeah, I watched the first episode of Apothecary Diaries season 2 today. That's all.
Oh yeah. I should watch Apothecary Diaries. It's like, it's people of the ones from like last year, the free run and the Apothecary Diaries. Apothecary Diaries seems like way more my shit.
Yeah, I feel like I just like I enjoyed my time with free run, but like moving further away from it, I'm like I just invested in Apothecary Diaries more, and it probably doesn't help that like the free run debate about ontologically evil races keeps coming up over and over again. I'm like, yeah, I guess that is just this is the thing we have to deal with.
People are just too annoying about free run.
Yeah. I do think it is annoying that the demons in free run are ontological evil, but
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I'm more meant. There are people who are very annoying about like how refreshing and good it is that free run has ontological evil race in it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you talking about? What world are you from? Did you drop into here from another dimension where that's not the norm? Are you fucking stupid?
They get, and there's also people who like take the argument of like, you don't understand, but that's just how it is in the world, and it it's like falls into the thing that like people just take the fiction at face value and don't question its underlying assumptions. Like when I saw last year there was like a post going around about like my hot take if FMA is that Scar was right, and people push back. It's like, oh, you don't get the point of the story was that cycle of violence is bad, and ignoring the fact
I get that. I get that was the point of the story.
Yeah.
I just disagreed.
Yeah.
So sometimes the point sucks.
Yeah. Literally, the person who posted that was like, "Listen, I got it. I just think there's problems with that assumption." But yeah, Apothecary Diaries is good. That's all I gotta say. Obviously one episode only, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I should click on, but it is relevant. That is true.
Someone I should read those novels too. Oh, I meant to read the Either Side Picnic novels. It's just finding time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, in which case we might be ready to talk about fucking Ultraman.
Yeah.
Let me pull up some fucking summaries. So we got 4 episodes this week. We got a real like weird batch. There's a lot of variety here.
Yeah.
Episode 41 is called The Mother's Wish, a Midwinter Sakura Blizzard, featuring Graffiti Kaiju Gongoros. A faraway galaxy explodes and an alien slips past Zat security to hide on Earth as a kaiju-shaped stain on a wall. Not a piss stain this time. A kid called Masahiro, who sucks at drawing, spots the stain and traces around the kaiju with chalk. A passing Kotaro is impressed, but an evil middle-aged woman that gets nicknamed Mama Giras is mad that kids would draw on her wall. Is she from another show?
Her mom... Excuse me. Her actress looks familiar, but I couldn't actually identify it.
Mama Giras as an idea has come up on this podcast before. I feel like I recognize this. I remember there which was means I think she's from I think she might be from Ace or something.
There was a Return of Ultraman episode with like Yama Terrans.
It might be Return of
where the mom.
I don't think it's the same woman though.
It's not.
I think
it's not the
maybe
same
the
woman.
name.
I don't think it's even the same name necessarily, but like it's definitely evoking a similar thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
After checking our Return of Ultraman notes.
Because I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh, we've had the lady nicknamed as a kaiju before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Except this one, he's just like a random lady, not even his own mom, which is funny.
No, true. Masahiro visits his very ill, maybe dying mother, who is in a hospital room with a view of the wall where he's been drawing outside, and she says her favorite thing is flowers, but it's winter and nothing's in bloom. She's sad she might not ever get to see cherry blossom again. Masahiro believes showing his mother flowers might save her from death. This kid has watched an episode or two of Ultraman.
Okay, hold on.
He doesn't have money. Yeah, he doesn't have money to get flowers, but he yeah.
Confirmed it's Mama Gone in the Amateurans episode.
Okay. He doesn't have money. I think
you'd find that Mama here, actually.
Mama Gone in like a month.
Oh no.
This kid has watched an episode or two of Ultraman. He doesn't have money to get flowers, but he has money for pink paper and chalk. So he and his friends draw cherry trees in full bloom on the wall. Not even Mama Giras can complain, except when she sees the kaiju drawing and kicks it, and its eyes flash at her. Then she's like, okay, something's up here. Masahiro shows his mum the drawings through the window, and then the kaiju appears from the stain on the wall. The kaiju has a fart attack and also fire breath. But not to combine them, just because, all kaiju have fire breath. All of them.
Yeah.
Mama Giras blames Masahiro for summoning the kaiju, and he tries to draw Taro to fix his mistake. Taro doesn't appear until Masahiro decides to deal with the kaiju himself and nearly dies. Then he gets saved by Kotaro turning into Taro. Gotta earn it. Taro discovers the kaiju's weakness. You can erase it like it's a doodle. My subs keep calling it referring to graffiti as a doodle.
The ones I were using were saying graffiti, I think.
I forgot. Don't worry.
Yeah, they kept using doodle like it's a technical term, and I was like, I don't. Anyway, Taro erases the kaiju and blasts the fleeing ball of energy. Just shoot running enemies in the back. Cherry blossom falls from the sky. Taro even summons a cherry branch and gives it to Masahiro.
Notably,
in the hospital, yeah.
It's like
it's like huge.
Yeah,
and then it's normal size.
And then it's because Taro's holding it, and it's recognized. It's like not between his fingers. He's holding it like in his hand, like it's a branch the size of Taro. And then he drops it on the ground, and the kid picks it up, and it's normal. And it's okay.
One of those shrinks when exposed to the effects of gravity.
Yeah, it's an item that adjusts its size when you attune it.
Mm-hmm.
In the hospital, ZAP members assure Masahiro that his drawing didn't summon a kaiju, but nevertheless he pledges to become a big-name artist who draws flowers, not kaiju. His mum tells him that he'll have to get better grades in art at school. Everyone laughs. The end. Also, Masahiro seems to believe his mother isn't dying anymore. Unclear if that is the case.
She does look better, at least. But
yeah, I think this episode is a little more like she might still be dying.
Yeah, I actually really appreciated that. What a breath of fresh air.
I think they take off the the pale makeup. Like she doesn't as pale in that last scene, but I like the ambiguity. Well, I like the thing at the end where they kind of just skirt around the idea that maybe she might. It's a little ambiguous whether she's saved or not. Because it would, if a kid recognized the rules of how to get a medical miracle and exploited them and it worked, it'd be like it's like when someone cheats at religious law.
Yes.
Like the story I've heard is the really orthodox Jewish families are like, well, I'm not going to turn on the light on a Sunday because it's like or whenever Shabbat is. I'm not going to turn on the light because forbidden. But I can ask my neighbor to do it.
or like the thing.
Oh right, yeah.
The thing the Mormon college students do on the bed.
Oh, soaking.
Yes.
Yes. So soaking is like that's wild. It's wild that they think God doesn't notice that. Do you think God is fucking stupid? Clearly.
He's up there like, foiled again.
I was like, well, I mean, he wasn't moving. He just happened to be in there. I think these kids got ingenuity. I think I'm gonna let them off. Dear listener, go Google soaking Mormon. Yeah. So, how do we feel about this episode?
Weird.
Yeah.
Mel, I'll let you go first.
This is an example, I think, of a thing we've seen a few times. Maybe not as, like, one-to-one as this, where it's like, we are calling back to an old kaiju by redoing the episode plot, but with a completely new kaiju. Because, this is... I almost wondered if they were going to say the name Gavidon at all. Because, this is literally just the same plot, basically. Yeah. Except, with the addition of, like, there's a protagonist in the form of Masahiro with his, like, plot, which makes it different, at least. However, I do think it's weirder in this case. One because of how, like, direct it is, because, King Strawn is obviously a Gavidon homage as well, but, like, that one's a very different plot. Whereas this one is just, he's doing the thing one-to-one. But in the same show, we've had somehow King is alive because of the moon. And, in Taro, we've both had this is Gavidon, but a new kaiju, versus this is King, except it was clearly meant to not be King, which is a weird combination to have.
Yeah.
I think that because it's like the thing where it's like, oh, this isn't a drawing episode. Actually, he drew around it, and it's a coincidence. The other thing where it's like we've now had two kaiju that emerge from stains is like I'm like, oh, we're really like. We're running out of new ideas for what a kaiju can be.
You know what? Maybe it makes sense that we only have one more season left before there's a break.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, maybe.
The thing I was thinking this entire time is I actually like the scenes with the kid and the mom quite a bit, and like the bit where like all the kids help out with like drawing the flowers. Like that's nice. It's nice divorced from the rest of this episode where I'm like, this monster showing up has nothing to do with anything at all. No. Other than the fact that this is an Ultraman show and we got to have the monster. Like
maybe at most, like the chalk drawing gave definition to the kaiju, but it did exist there first in a way. So
yeah, like it's just kind of around as like a thing that gets stumbled onto.
I do like that it reacts to getting kicked.
Yeah,
and I also it's ridiculous, but I do think it's funny that like Zat surrounds the painting, the drawing, and points the guns at it, and then like the Karen mom says like, oh, I'm gonna rat out we're gonna rat out this kid to the police, basically. And they try and defuse the situation because like, listen, we don't have proof that the drawing is the kaiju, and she's like, why are you pointing your guns at it then? They just look really awkward.
I was like, you've got me there.
I thought it was fun that like I don't know. I do also feel like with the graffiti doodle thing, they want to have their cake and eat it too. Because I thought the effect of like, oh, we're gonna erase it to get to its true core and then blow that up was a fun effect and like a silly, cool way to end the fight. But then they also keep they really want you to know that him drawing on it was not the reason why the kaiju awoke. And I'm just like, well, you can't have.
You can't have his weakness be that it's graffiti.
Yeah, like that's not fair.
Well, actually, he kills it with a spacing beam, so it's fine.
So true.
It's true.
Yeah,
I think you'll find it's the something beam.
I don't care.
True.
the beamium beam.
Do you remember what the Aces beam is called?
The divorcium beam.
Close enough. I do think it's fun that to transform Kotaro like leans flush to the wall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tara's had
despite
some fun
despite the fact that
transformations this season.
despite the fact that as Toru Naruto said, we can't lie to children.
Kotaro lies to children all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta.
Sometimes you do have to lie to children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, your mom will be okay.
Damn.
Sometimes your nephew hits you with some shit, and it's like your parents need to be the one to tell you about the harsh truths of the world. I'm just gonna say some bullshit right now. This is not my place.
Yeah. The one of the other features of this episode is Mama Giras, who is just, what if, this is just, aren't middle-aged women annoying?
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be here.
She's not in the episode, really.
She's here. She's here to yell at children and be scared when the monster erupts out of the wall.
She's just, they just got to get the boot in a little bit on women.
You know, one thing, minor point, but I do like it just because I do feel like this actually speaks to the reality of what being a kid is sometimes, is that the episode starts with him drawing the monster and all of the other kids, like, making fun of him, or not. Before he's drawing the monster, he draws like a weird fucked up looking, there's a fucked up looking cat outside, cat. Yeah. And like all the kids are bullying him and like kind of whatever. But then as soon as he's like, hey, do you guys want to help me like draw flower? Like all the kids are super down with the plan actually, and are really nice about it. Which I'm just like, I do actually feel like this speaks to the reality of being a kid, and sometimes other kids are just like
the
dicks for no reason.
Yeah.
But then other times they're like, oh yeah, this is a really sweet thing to do for your mom. Let's all help out and pitch in.
That reminds me of my grade 3 bully was also someone who told me about Kingdom Hearts on the bus.
Classic Brad story.
This is what, you're the Final Fantasy.
Yeah, me and the best friend I have ever had and still have to this day, I met when he made fun of me for not being a good gym class partner because I was physically disabled, and I hit him in the face with a plastic baseball bat.
Classic.
Yeah.
You're like Goku.
Honestly.
Kids, maybe
don't
be like Goku.
And then Ultraman beat the kaiju that kept me from running. Now I can run again.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how this kid how does this kid arrive at the idea that if she sees Cherry Blossom, she won't die. She'll be fine. She'll be healed.
I think he says something like it'll cheer her up enough to get to be strong of heart and get better.
Yeah, because she's lamenting the flowers.
She needs to succeed a morale check.
Yeah,
like Kongming.
She's like Kongming. Kid, I'm gonna send your mother. Kid, how's your mother doing? How much is she eating lately? Damn. Poor Kongming.
They set up like the ritual, and then Nambara comes in and knocks over the candle. I was like, "Well, I'm fucked."
Yep. Damn. This was my last shot.
Mm-hmm. This episode feels like I think I've brought this up before. We've kind of like when Taro's at its worst. I sometimes feel as though it is a grab bag of rehashed ideas that have done better before, and this I feel like is very indicative of. Sometimes they just got to put an episode out, and this is kind of whatever.
Remember, this is a 53 episode show.
Yeah,
it truly is.
What's the thing is? There's something I said yesterday about the next episode, but I think it can be broadly applied to a lot of the Taro episodes, where I'm like, and I quote, "One thing I enjoy about show Ultraman is that sometimes you get wild concepts for episodes, such as those where the writer clearly has two ideas for an episode and decides to do both of them at the same time."
That's so you meant that about the next episode. What's the next episode? Let me scroll down and have a quick. Oh, right, yeah.
Also relevant to next episode. My reply: a third idea has hit the episode.
Truly.
We'll get to that though. But yeah,
who? Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to there is there is a wildness to the amount of stuff they throw into things that we're not getting in the modern Ultraman shows, which feel like there's more of a focus to an episode.
Brad, who made this episode? Who's the director and writer?
Director was Kiyosumi Fukasawa, who also did the one with like the sweet potatoes being too hot for the construction thingy, and
that one's sick.
Yeah, and also did Here He Is, Alien Mephiles. So, you know, a lot of high highs, low lows with this guy, I feel. Then written by Bunpei Ai, who we've been talking about a lot recently.
Mal.
Special effects director is Masaharu Takahashi, who I don't know if a bio on, but I'll look at some point. It's just harder to get like some bios on these people, unfortunately. But you know,
yeah, I truly think we're in the era where people just stopped giving as much of a shit about who was making these, which is unfortunate. But
more on that when I do the Return of Ultraman runback this week.
Okay.
Also,
right.
yeah. On that note, there's like basically no information on who made this kaiju.
Okay. All right then. Well, do we have anything more to say about this episode?
Might be bottom 3 Ultraman Taro episode. I'm gonna be honest.
Wow!
It's very nothing. Like,
I would have to think about it. It is definitely like low impact.
Is it at least better than like Ace episodes?
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm not getting pissed off at it, which means, yeah,
automatically.
Yeah. Like, nothing about this made me mad. I'm just like, why would you do that? You know?
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about a high impact Taro episode. Maybe.
Yeah.
Which is episode 42. The Phantom Mother is a kaiju tamer featuring Parrot Kaiju Elegia.
What a good fucking name for a silly ass monster.
It's good. Okay. Moriyama brought up... There are some places where this summary is going to go kind of broad. We can get into the details a little more after. Moriyama bought a parrot, and everyone's trying to teach it phrases. How will parrots be important to this episode? Just you fucking wait. Kotaro meets a guy he knew from school called Shimada, who's been at sea for half a year. Boat boys! The boat boys agreed to go for drinks soon. Now, Shimada has a little brother called Tomoyuki, and a father who might be unnamed. This summary will be almost in... Yes?
The booklet says Shingo. I do not remember that name being used in the episode.
I think I remember a name being used in the... Let me see, because I think I wrote it down. Tetsuo is the name of his friend, but I think Tomoyuki is the name of the kid.
So Tetsuo, I think, is the family name. Or is it Shimada's the family name?
Shimada's the family name.
Shimada's the family name.
I'm getting Tatsuo for, like, with an A for, in the booklet for friend name.
That's probably fine.
Anyway, I'm going to continue with what I got.
I don't think.
Yeah, that's fine.
The point is, this summary will almost entirely be ignoring the brother. We're interested in Dad. What the dad doing? Dad's up to some shit. His wife, Seiko, was killed when she was hit by a car, and now Dad doesn't smile, and also he hates all cars. He seems pretty chipper when he goes out fishing one morning, and they're like, that's weird. And it's because today's the day he's going to wake up his robot replica of Seiko as she appeared on their wedding day that he has secretly built in hopes that she will actually be his revived wife. She does not wake up when he pulls the lever on his big Frankenstein machine, but she does wake up after he has left from the teardrop that fell on her wedding ring. She wakes up and immediately destroys a cop car. Tetsuo, out drinking with Kotaro, spots Robot Seiko and is like, yo, is that my mum? The next morning, all this talk of seeing a ghost of Seiko in a wedding dress sends Tetsuo's dad into a panic. He runs out and Kotaro and Tetsuo find books on robotics in the house. They're like, well, that's weird. They follow his dad to his hideout where the robot has gone missing. Where is Seiko? Seiko is going to the grave of her dead parrot, the parrot that refused to eat after she died and followed her into the next world. Seiko revives the parrot as a kaiju and commands it, go destroy every single car in Japan with your powers. That's the subtitle I had, word for word.
Yep.
Every single is so good. Go destroy every single car in Japan. The next day, when the father is confronted by Zat about Seiko, he's like, my hatred of cars has transferred over to the robot. Tetsuo confronts Robo Seiko and fails to shoot her when he hears a lullaby she used to sing for him. The parrot kaiju catches Sari and Tomoyuki, the little brother, remember him, in a car, and the father is begging Seiko to call off the kaiju like, that's our son! Don't kill our son! With this, Tetsuo has the strength to explode his mother with a laser gun. The kaiju drops the car, and Kotaro turns into Taro to catch it. Taro defeats the kaiju, and then revives the robot as the actual Seiko. Seiko quietly ascends to heaven, where she becomes a star that serves as a guiding light to lost spaceships. Back at Zat Base, the parrot says he's hungry, and everyone blames Kotaro for it. The end.
There's a lot to unpack with this one.
Yeah. Where to begin?
This is not where to begin, but I would like to make note of the fact that I was expecting a much more like dramatic way for the shooting his mother, but instead what happens is he zaps her with a laser gun and there's a huge special effects explosion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so
I
go for it.
her just like getting to walk around and be like a creepy, almost like ethereal ghost lady in a wedding dress, like blowing shit up. For that, like I kind of wish Taro had a little bit more of that energy. I was so into this.
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy. She pulls it off really well.
Yeah, Seiko is cool. The woman in a wedding dress summoning her dead parrot as a huge fuck-off kaiju and trying to get revenge on cars. That's good.
Oh, the walkable city people are fucking nutting to this one.
Absolutely. A PMC of G-Savior GDQ fame would love this episode of Taro.
Yeah, true. I need to watch the G-Savior run. Shout out to PMC. Shout out to PMC. I wanted to watch it live, but it was like 6 a.m. for me, so I was like, fuck, I can't do it. But
I made the same walkable cities joke to someone else yesterday.
Lol.
Well, it's just like every Japanese car needs to go kill them all. I'm just like, let's go.
The funniest part of the episode for me is when it's just like, and then the World Motor Association was having their trade show in Japan at this time.
Yeah. It's like, no. No. Don't do that, World Motor Association. It's going to be destroyed.
What I love about this episode is that ostensibly there's like, there's kind of like Hedora / Hydra from Ultraman 66, where it's like, like a ghost coming to haunt and, get revenge against the concept of cars, I guess. However, because I guess they decided they didn't want to be normal about it, the medium of the ghost is specifically that the dad secretly taught himself robotics and built a robot, and the robot is the ghost. And then the ghost robot revives the dead parrot as a kaiju.
The ghost robot reviving the dead parrot via magical means is completely tangential to the robotics thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
incredible.
Because like the robot's revived by his tears.
The robot is revived by his tears. It's like doing the because like one of the foundational differences between Hindu and Buddhist reincarnation is that in Buddhist reincarnation you don't need a soul. The permanent soul does not like move from one body to another. Like the parts will just if you make another you, that's you reincarnated. So that's kind of happening with the robot thing, where it's like, yeah, this robot is going to be my wife, like actually, not just a simulacrum. This will be how my wife is reincarnated. Is like, it's, and the like going out fishing and then sneaking into a little hideout and it's got all this machine out there, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck is happening in this episode?
My favorite, another part I like is when they scout it out, and then the dad leaves, and they go into the basement to see, and Kotaro's like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. There's like a robot manufacturing machine.
What do you mean you've seen this before, Kotaro? What are you talking about?
As if it's just like
did you read about this in a magazine while you were hanging out fixing a boat?
That dad had a stack of books. It's in the ether.
He got it from the Acme company.
Wow. Yeah. The
we got, you know what this is? This is the perfect blend of like family drama, weird kind of creepy horror movie shit, and ridiculous mad scientist experiment gone wrong science fiction all in one.
Absolutely.
Perfect
all in one. Also, there's a parrot.
You know what? We kind of hit the fairy tale thing with that too, somehow, in a weird way. This is everything is here. Everything you'd want out of an Ultraman.
The Super Smash, the ultimate Smash Bros. Ultimate of Ultraman.
Yeah.
Ultramate. I'm workshopping it.
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. Did I tell you about recently? I was sitting in complete. So Travis Scott was in the news. I was sitting in complete silence, just on my laptop, or like looking at my phone in the living room, and my mum was in there. And it was complete silence for like maybe a solid hour, and then my mum, peering at her phone, just squints and just goes, "Travis Scott." I fucking lost it.
This is in reference for anyone completely lost to. There's a video of YouTubers and streamers trying to predict or react to Smash Brothers characters' reveals and getting them completely wrong.
I'm trying to remember what my favorite one is. Is it Kylo Ren?
Yeah, Kylo Ren!
That one's my favorite. That one is my favorite. Yeah, so the other part is we've got the family drama, we got the two brothers. Kotaro's got a bestie, a sailor bestie.
Yeah.
We've done this so little with him in particular, because it's always
classmates of Kenichi.
Yeah, of Kenichi. I was thinking Kenichi's name for a second there.
He's really hasn't been in these episodes been a while.
Maybe he went skiing.
I mean, he does show up in the vegetable episode, like for 2 seconds, but you know.
True.
Maybe that's a new kid. Maybe they got a new kid to play Kenichi.
Oh, you mean like Jun?
I mean, like, yeah, just like Jun. New kid every week.
But yeah, it's cool that we did this with him finally, because doesn't happen a lot.
No.
And it's a sailor buddy.
I think it's very funny that he saw. Now that I think about it, it's very funny that a couple of weeks back he met Hokuto and wasn't like, "Oh wait, you're the guy off the boat."
Yeah.
Weird coincidence. Kotaro it was too awkward to bring up. Clearly, that he was that one guy from that one time. Yeah, 100% is canon.
I refuse to believe Hokuto remembers anyone like 2 days after he met them if they don't like have any personal benefit to him.
That's how he has a new backstory every week.
Yeah, well, because he just lies to like impress whoever he needs to impress at the time.
Exactly. He's like, I won't owe this person anything 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of stuff I was glossing over was all the kind of stuff once we get into the action where you've got Tetsuo going to go shoot his mum, and this scene's pretty good. You got the lullaby playing, and he's like psyching himself up to do it, and he can't pull the trigger.
You see her through the scope's crosshairs.
Yeah, and she's not actually singing, but he hears the lullaby anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I like this stuff, and then obviously he does shoot her anyway.
Yeah.
The funniest thing was that she becomes a star that's specifically a lighthouse in space.
Yeah.
Yes.
The shot of her.
Okay. So we now have to address the fact that the episode, there's my subtitle, specifically, she's quietly ascended to heaven. And what they mean by heaven is the space.
Yeah, the heavens.
Yeah. They actually mean space. And but because we have a scientific view of space, that does mean that she is going to be a star in the sky. And it finally struck me as funny that like heaven is a physical place in Ultraman. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. You just gotta sail out east or west. I always forget what direction that is.
West.
Yeah.
I don't know
the evil mercenaries is where the evil mercenaries that help out Sauron come from. That's right.
Yeah, that's where the hordes come from.
Yep.
Tolkien got generational trauma from the invasion of the Mongols. he's like, man. Anyway, yeah, we got this is just fucking good episode. I just think this is banger.
Yeah, this is going to be one I remember.
This is like like I said in my post I read. This is like the peak of what Showa can offer with its sensibilities.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Who made it? Who is offering us this fantastic episode?
Would you believe it? It's the same director as last episode, Kiyosumi Fukasawa, and then also written by Kiyohide Ohara.
Well, I can tell which episode he put the effort in on.
Yeah.
It was this one.
Yeah.
Good shit. Mel.
Special effects director is Masaru Takahashi, just like the last episode. I briefly just looked him up just to see if there was a bio to find on him, and it really isn't much. He has a bunch of credits on stuff, but he is like, he's mostly just, he was a super out for a bit, but then he went into other stuff and became a CEO, I guess. So, that's that. He made a Pink film at age 21, but otherwise.
I mean, that's the age to do it.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the age to do it, and then you got to take a break to try to be classy, and then you got to go back to it.
Yeah.
Once you know what you're a real freak about.
Yeah.
I couldn't discern a compelling narrative from like the 2 paragraphs on his Japanese Wikipedia page, so
Mm-hmm.
But I did my job.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just did my job.
Oh, okay. I will say, the writer for this, Ohara, also did what I think is the other, this is a defining Taro episode for me, which is the one with the Mama Kaiju and the cub, with the hunters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the ridiculous episode.
Yeah, which, are both
They shoot that child in the head?
Yeah. Both of these episodes, I feel like, are, core Taro, this is what this show is about and how it's separate from the other ones stuff.
Yeah,
so.
operating at an energy that the others can't quite tap into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wait.
Is there any... Well, go for it.
Yeah, one last thing I need to let you both know. I turned myself into a pickle.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I wish you hadn't said that, because I still had to give the kaiju tribute.
No!
Oh! Well, okay. Listener, you didn't hear that.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to redo that again.
We're going to redo
Mel.
it.
Elegia is designed by Takashi Shimazaki, and then Android Seiko is played by Mayumi Kawaguchi.
All right, sick.
I think Takahashi might be new, but I haven't seen his name a bunch. But or Takashi, I should say. But yeah, he seems like...
Wow.
This must have been the easiest paycheck for that woman's life. She just has to walk around and be kind of ominous. She kills it. But, I don't think she speaks once, does she?
No, she does.
She says some lines.
No, yeah, she does. That's right.
Yeah.
But the moment Taro revived her, I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Going for a crazy ending.
Yeah.
And then she ascended into space
to be a
bodily,
lighthouse.
like Mary.
Yep, that's how that goes.
In Catholicism, that's how that goes.
She just went up.
Yeah. So, do we have... I hope you're on the ball, Brad. Do we have anything more to say about this episode?
Yeah, I have a thing to say.
Oh, you have a thing to say? Can you say your thing?
I turned myself into a yam. Oh, fuck. I fucked up.
Oh, no. We fucked up. Episode 44 is called... Oh, no, it's not. It's called Pickle the Kaiju in Salt, featuring Glutton Kaiju Motocreron.
Yeah.
Which is not a name that works with English pronunciation.
No. Hey, do you guys want to hear my impression of this kaiju?
Yeah, go for it.
I was getting a headache watching this. I fucking hate this thing's noise.
It's a little annoying.
Let me tell you about this episode. Earth is great. So, number one thing to know. Earth is great. The rest of the universe sucks. Earth is plentiful and comfortable, and everyone else wants those riches.
We learned that from your man.
Yeah, Zat are always shooting down spaceships that have come to try to get a taste of that plenty. This conception of why aliens keep trying to invade Earth comes off in a particular way we might talk about later. The point is, Zat shoot down a spaceship and it drops something. Takeshi is this episode's child. Quick rundown on the situation. He's the son of a greengrocer. His mother has died. He won't eat his greens anymore, which he claims is because of his dad's awful cooking. When Saori tries to convince Takeshi to eat his vegetables because his mother is watching over him as a star in the sky, Takeshi is like, lady, you gotta go... Yeah, Takeshi is like, lady, you gotta go back to school. Stars aren't people. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He's like, you got some pretty unscientific views. Takeshi nonetheless kind of likes the idea, and when he briefly wishes stars were people and that his mother was that star right there, the something dropped by the aliens earlier lands in his bedroom. It's an egg with a little kaiju inside, yelling "Moto" over and over and eating vegetables. Takeshi feeds the kaiju more and more vegetables as it gets bigger and bigger, constantly saying "Moto." Takeshi names it Motocreron, and asks it to take him to space where his mother might be. He gets no answer and storms off in a sulk. Eventually, Motocreron is way too big and Zat attacks it when it goes foraging. It also, Takeshi turns up and is like, yo, it's you? You're the thief? And Motocreron farts on him. A second farting kaiju has hit this episode of Ultra Q. And Takeshi is like, this is how you repay me for raising you, which I thought was a hilarious line. Takeshi finds his dad trying to save produce instead of evacuating, and summarizes the episode for me by saying, so I feel like you prefer vegetables to me. I'm that kaiju's dad. I raised it on vegetables, and I wanted it to take me to space to be with my mum. And his dad is like, shut up, son, and hits him. He then gets a pep talk about how before a man whines, he must fight, and together they make a plan to lure in and kill the kaiju with bamboo spears. Perfect plan. It doesn't fucking work. They get eaten by Motocreron, and Kotaro turns into Taro to save them. Taro has a new plan. Pickle the kaiju. He pickles the kaiju, and Motocreron shrinks down to tiny size. Masahiro gives it some vegetables for the road, and Taro throws it back into space. Takeshi eats his greens again, but only because he cooks now instead of his dad. The end. This episode is fucking gross.
Yeah.
I do not care for this episode.
Green gunk everywhere in this episode.
Taro, like, the pickling thing is bonkers.
He's like, he throws the kaiju into like this big like water tank or something and throws in loads of salt, and then he's like standing in it, and like we can't see anything, but he's like stamping into it, and we can see out of a hole in the side of the tank just like fountain
Nickelodeon
of
slime.
Yeah,
absolutely disgusting. This is a Taro core in that way.
I extremely do not like the vibe around this fucking kid's dad being like, well, son, you gotta take responsibility for raising this kaiju. You don't want to be a pussy, do you? And it's I fucking hate it.
Hit him.
Yeah. Which, I've talked before. Not a fan of strict father figure whips the child into shape shit just due to personal history stuff in general. But I think the human element of this show, like this episode, just fucking sucks. Do not care for it at all.
It's also, even in the format of man hits son, now they understand each other. Even in that format, this is fucking lazy. This is just like, he's like, not like, his son's like, I feel like you care more about vegetables than me, and his dad's like, shut up, put the vegetables in the van or whatever. And then he runs off, and then his dad grabs him and hits him, and then he's like, oh, we're gonna take responsibility. And then he's like, we're gonna use the vegetables to lure it in. And then Takeshi's like, oh, so you do value me more than vegetables? And the dad's like, well, of course I do. It's like, that's not true 5 minutes ago. And Takeshi has just stood there with this stupid look on his face going, Soka. Like, you're a fucking idiot.
So.
Yeah. It's like, no, you don't understand. This is stupid. Yeah. The other part of this is that he's raising that kaiju and he's hitting that kaiju when it disappoints him.
Yep.
And it's like, it's this whole, now he understands the struggle of being a parent is it's so hard having to deal with your kids. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Especially the line, "This is how you repay me for raising you." Yeah. I was like, okay, guys.
Yep.
I wonder who wrote this episode. Well, we'll get to it, but I know.
But yeah, before we talk more about it, let's just hear who wrote it.
Well, it was directed by Tadashi Mifune and then written by Bunpei Ai.
Okay. What's Bunpei Ai's deal again? I feel like we have a lot of names now, and I just don't keep track of who they are.
I wasn't necessarily saying like, oh, is this a specific guy? It's more just like, oh, I bet like the old men wrote this. Just as a general rule.
Yeah. True.
So Bunpei Ai, and let me just also pull. He was the one who, funnily enough, we'll talk more about this. So remember, I was the one who said like he kind of proved like a Japanese nursery rhyme thing.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah, well, guess what? We have an episode about that exact same nursery rhyme next week, so we'll talk about that more.
Oh, that's fun.
That's cool.
But I'll do some research on that too, just to come prepared. But he was the one who also has a bajillion pseudonyms for some fucking reason. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he also did the graffiti episode from earlier this week. Mm-hmm. Also did the one with the street snack vendor with the yams. The wintry wind monster with the Don-chan student, which we actually like that one quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or at least I like that one quite a bit. I don't know how you two felt.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were all into it.
I think we were all pretty good and positive.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, which is the Japanese illustrated boards guy whose son is like embarrassed of his dad's job.
Oh yeah.
I think that's covers it essentially.
The one thing of note in this episode that is also, you mentioned Kenichi not showing up. Kotaro is increasingly not in this show.
He's in the next episode.
Like he is, but like not really. He's in next episode a lot. But there have been quite a lot of episodes recently where he's like very hands off in the plot.
This might sound damning without me intending for it. I kind of like that. Like, and it's not that I dislike Kotaro, but he's a fun guy, but I also feel like he is a lowercase g guy than, say, Dan or Go.
Hideki, yeah.
Well, I also think, like, Kotaro is like, you see what you get.
Yes.
Like, even if he, like, Kotaro is a guy, he's like, you put him in a situation and you know exactly what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. Which is do Shadow of the Colossus, but
yeah, I guess now that we are this deep in the show, it is like there's only so much that he can like be participating in every single plot. So yeah,
and it seems like it's also clear that they found that since this is a show about kids for kids, they're also they really leaning into the child of the week plots, and so in the past that was Kotaro meets a kid and interacts with a story, and now it's becoming more there is a kid. The kid has he is the main character of the story, and then at some point Zack gets involved because of course they do.
Honestly, I kind of wish that Hayato was this out of the way in original Ultraman.
Imagine if Ide was just the main character of Ultraman.
Oh, it'd be so much better.
Which he is already. But what if he actually was?
Yeah.
and what if the fact that Hayata is Ultraman was only kind of gestured at?
Yeah, because I guess the formula we have set up is because the hero is Ultraman, he has to be the perspective character.
Where's the Kamen Rider Hibiki of Ultraman?
I guess maybe we'll see if that happens.
Maybe we'll see. Or maybe we'll see if the Kamen Rider Hibiki of Ultraman follows through on being the Kamen Rider Hibiki of...
Yeah.
Unlike Kamen Rider Hibiki.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who did the kaiju stuff in this episode?
So the special effects...
special effects stuff.
So special effects director was Shohei Toho. Ew, holy shit.
Try that again.
Special effects director is Shohei Tojo, which I looked up briefly, and it says that he was the director for the Marucci episode of Return of Ultraman. Brad, can you just go confirm if you were to bio on him?
Sorry, can you spell the name out so I can look it up real quick in my notes?
Shohei Tojo. Yeah, I guess typing in the chat makes more sense. Well, I guess just look up who the director was for that episode.
Let's see my note. Wait, hold on, I did find it. Episode 33, directed by Shohei Tojo. Yes, yeah. He was, let's see, real quick run through. Assistant director for episodes of Ultra Q. The only episode of Return of Ultraman he did was episode 33, and it was because after upper management at TBS saw the episode, they got angry and demanded Tsuburaya Productions demote him to assistant director status for the rest of the show.
Yeah. So, I just briefly looking at,
Fuck Tsuburaya, what the fuck?
It seems like...
Which one was episode 33 again?
Marucci.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
One of the best episodes.
Oh, also, important note, he was the guy who did the Flying Turtle special effects for episode 6 of Ultra Q.
Oh, nice.
That's a king.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like living as updated by after the fact, he... Basically, his quote-unquote demotion was that he was allowed to do stuff for not Ultraman, so he worked on Mirror Man and Jumbo Ace. And Taro and Leo are him coming back to the Ultra series, and then he's on, he's with Tsuburaya. He's on the Ultra series starting with Taro again. He worked on the Dinosaur trilogy, and then he'd work on 80, and then leave Tsuburaya, and then it seems after that he would go work on primarily at Toei on Super Sentai and Metal Heroes.
Yeah, that's what I have in my bio too. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is the guy who also made the note about the differences in characterization between Toei and Tsuburaya stuff.
Oh yeah, I guess
I think Tsuburaya wanted the down to earth realistic characters, and Toei wanted we want to make some fucking larger than life guys.
Yeah, he'd be in the position to know directly.
Yeah. Which is fun insight. I'm happy we got that from someone who worked intimately with both, because that is something I the more time I spent with the Tsuburaya stuff and my experience with the Toei stuff at the time, it's that I can see the differences in approach there. It's fun.
Yeah, I think even now you can still see it a bit, just a teensy bit in Modern Ultraman versus Modern Kamen Rider or Sentai.
Kamen Rider Kabuto.
Oh yeah, exactly. You don't get Tendo in Ultraman.
Fuck no. My grandmother once told me nobody watches Ultraman. Fucking Tendo Soji, what a guy.
Yeah. Also, Moto Kira on all forums, because like they made separate designs for each of them, were done by Yoshio Suzuki.
All right.
I like the baby form. I don't know how I'm feeling about the other ones.
Yeah, I like the baby form. I do think it's funny that he gives them a pack of vegetables some of for a home trip.
It's like not many. He's like, but it's funny. It's like they're like, oh, the plot to drain Earth of its vitamin C was foiled, and I'm like, is that what? Are you sure it's not just someone wanted to eat? Or someone wanted to get some veggies. Someone wanted to swing by Earth. So yeah, the other thing at the beginning of this episode is they go really hard on like Earth is so plentiful and good, and you know we have so much, and other people are jealous and want in to get our shit. And I'm like, is this like close the borders stuff? Is like, what the fuck is this? Because like there's something about it where like even in like alien invasion plots in like Mirror Man, it doesn't quite. It has like a slightly different vibe where it's like trying to give like this, you come up with this like motivation for the aliens, and here it's like it comes across as man, fuck you, we got our nice place.
Yeah, these days it's hard even being from Earth.
Now
lol.
So this is the part I do that, because I was wondering that too, but then I was also like, maybe not, because, like, historically speaking, I feel like Japan is extremely not the place that's like, oh, we got all these resources we're sitting on that, like, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like
a core cornerstone of like colonialization policy was that like they did not have resources. Like part of the reason like Pearl Harbor was like a poorly thought out but felt necessary Hail Mary was like, if the US is going to attack us anyway, then we need to take care of them sooner rather than later, because we're going to run out of oil otherwise.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
but yeah, it's this idea, I think, of like a first world country sort of feeling like sort of like, oh yeah, other people just want our good shit, and it's like
coming here to leech,
completely unaware of the fact that it is built off the back of robbing other places in the world.
Yeah.
Like the sentiment of this is a land of plenty and other people want to steal it is not inherently bad. Like there have been lands of plenty in Earth that people have robbed blind. But it's not Japan.
Like Korea was an important cornerstone of Japan's rice supply during the period.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
but it's
in the modern period you have in the US, for instance, like the sort of like combination of like, well, just imperialism in general, like wealthy, invoking the famous Michael Parenti line of like, these countries are not poor.
They're not poor
because they're not. They wouldn't want to like invest in them or take their resources if they were poor. They're just impoverished, and like the resources from the global south are like taken to the north to like cheapen the lifestyle, like high quality of life for low cost because of the super exploitation of the global south, and like also interventions to keep the part of that, like the destabilization and impoverishment is part of that, and that leads to migration, both of like poor labor, where, you know, there's like obviously the border is closed to control labor, but also part of the system is based on like, well, the people who do get through are support, like the U.S. agricultural system is based on the back of like cheap illegal labor, and like
people who get through we can treat like shit, and we don't have to, and so like closely follow any sort of regulatory oversight. Yes, as
much as like the illegal like close the border stuff is part of the important part of the policy, another important part of the policy is that people do get in, and that's a part of the economic system. And also there's just like, you know, even of like the upper class, more educated members of the global south, like the brain drain is also part of it. as sort of like part of the imperial system. So like the people who could theoretically contribute to like would have the skills and resources to like actually build up their like global south countries, assuming there wasn't like a IMF austerity programs in place, go to the global north because they can have the resources to, and contribute to global north instead of their own countries, kind of.
Mm-hmm. The bit that is relevant here is the propaganda line of like, our country is plentiful, and someone from some poor country is trying to come in here and take advantage of everything we've built. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting off.
I can see that. Yeah, it's just I feel like Japan is a very funny place to point that towards, because I'm like, you motherfuckers had trouble making rubber in World War II.
Anyway, that might be kind of this episode. Is there anything else we want to say about this episode?
I think at the time of watching this, I liked this slightly more than the graffiti episode. I think I'm swapping. The more I think about this one, I'm like, there's like nothing here for me.
It's
just kind of bad.
Yeah, it's messy and also like literally messy. Like it's really gross.
I really fucking hate the dad-son shit. Like, because also too, this writer has done like I think the illustrated board episode like thing where like the son's kind of embarrassed of his dad's job, like, is actually a really good family episode.
Especially because like the kind of like they're both right thing, where it's like he's like there are times when you have to make a stand, and he's like, being a hero means you have to run off and die. Are you stupid? Mm-hmm. And that's a good episode.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. This one's don't got it.
This one's not good. This one's not. It's not good.
Yeah.
So, last episode for the week is, episode 44. Taro's going to be eaten, featuring February alien Onibanba.
Fucking Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh no, Taro's being eaten. Oh no.
Setsubun is the festival marking the beginning of spring, and one custom I didn't know about is apparently throwing beans to cast out Oni and bring in good luck.
Yeah, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job teaching us last time in Ace.
A real actual Oni is watching this event and going, what the fuck? It's just so funny to me. And the real actual Oni, called Onibamba, watches Kotaro attend this bean throwing event and is like, the only thing more disgusting than humans is an alien who would participate in an event about casting out the alien.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so true.
Yeah. It's really good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think the funniest part about this is like, it's from the dialogue, it's clear that Kotaro isn't actually that enthusiastic to be here. He's just dragged by the kids, and he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like, so it's always like, he's like, oh yeah, so Oni are the bad guys. He's like, yeah, sure. So he's really non-committal in his dialogue.
Onibamba has a plan to destroy Taro. The plan involves two brothers and some beans. The brothers in question are Ichiro, the older brother, and Jiro, the younger brother. They aren't getting along great. Ichiro hates that he has to be so tolerant of Jiro being fucking annoying, and Jiro hates that he can't do... Yeah. And Jiro hates that he can't do all the things Ichiro does because he's not old enough or big enough. The breaking point is when they each get a present from Zat, and Jiro wants Ichiro's because it's better, and just starts grabbing it. Ichiro runs off. Kitajima backstory, he reveals he is an oldest sibling, and so he's like, I can relate to Ichiro's struggle. He says this in front of Jiro, like he's basically saying, yeah, I can relate to little brothers being assholes. And then he heads off to talk to Ichiro. Kotaro, being the youngest of 6, stays with Jiro. They each have a good talk, the two groups have a good talk about the merits and trials of being an older/younger sibling. Kotaro and Jiro get a gift of evil beans from Onibamba, and she even confronts them, declaring that Ultraman Taro will be eaten by a human. She then heads off to attack Ichiro and Kitajima, and also Jiro, who ran over there. Onibamba turns big, giant woman spotted, and then turns into an Oni Kaiju, goodbye giant woman. Zat appears, and in the chaos of the fight, Kotaro and Ichiro get webbed up and squished down into a little bean. They're fine in there. They're not. They've been made small through the process of squishing them into a bean.
Yeah.
Onibamba slips this bean into Jiro's stash of beans. Jiro mourns the death of his brother and goes to eat the correct amount of beans for Setsubun, which is 1 bean for every year you've been alive. He's doing this in honor of his brother.
Yeah, he's like,
his brother
don't
loved
touch
beans.
my brother's beans. I gotta become strong like a brother who loved eating beans so much.
Don't touch my brother's beans. Jiro eats the beans one by one, and when he's about to eat Kotaro and Ichiro, he spots Onibamba. And she transforms into her giant form, and Jiro throws all his beans at her. Kotaro is released and turns into Taro. He shows Jiro that Ichiro is okay, and then starts fighting Onibamba. Taro chases Onibamba away by throwing beans at her. She promises to return next year on the same day, and as she flies off, Taro throws her club after her like, "You forgot this." Later, Ichiro and Jiro go back to fighting, and Kotaro turns up with beans for Zat to do their own bean throwing. The end.
What an episode!
What an episode! This is a ridiculous episode. This is Onibamba is goofy.
Yes.
Yeah, we just gotta.
I love her
fan.
line. That's like, all I have to do is torture you, and then Ultraman Taro is sure to show up.
She's right.
She's not wrong.
No, she's not. She knows the score.
Her like shoving her claws down like the big tubes in like the construction site or whatever is good. Just like trying to fish out kids. Just like, I'm gonna get you.
Lots of uncomfortable shots of like about to be eaten. POV.
Yes, lots of real close-ups on Jiro eating beans.
Yeah.
As like Ichiro and Kotaro watch from the little hole they shot out of the bean.
Kotaro's like,
and they're going, "Oh no, they're gonna eat us! He's gonna eat us next!" Because
Kotaro's like, "I got a little bit of juice in the gun," and it shoots a hole. It's funny.
Ridiculous like tension. There.
She's like, "I really am committed to this plan where he has to eat a bean."
She's very committed to this plan, but she's not committed enough to leave. She has to watch it happen.
Yeah.
That's her failing.
The fucking shot of her in the fucking construction like big cylinder thing, just like cackling.
Yes, eat the bean.
It's so fucking good.
This is a great bad guy.
Yeah.
Onibamba rules.
This is the fairy tale thing to like its, maximum potential. IMO. It's really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The actual like brotherly conflict is I think once they actually get to like Kitajima and Kotaro talking individually with each of the kids, I think is like pretty good.
Yeah,
I think like they actually like get like they hit on some of the reasons, some of the natural reasons why like an older brother and a younger brother might come into conflict.
Yeah, like I have a younger brother myself, and so I feel like thinking back to childhood is kind of how we were too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like I am a middle sibling of a younger and older sister, and like there was like definitely different because like I think the way brother sister relationships go very different from two brothers. I haven't experienced that myself, like sort of thing. But like it's like one of those things where like I could see if my younger sister was like a younger brother, how I'd feel how this kid feels about something. You know what I mean? There's definitely a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because you can understand Jiro once we get. I was like, okay, we got Ichiro's perspective, and I understand his perspective because his little brother is a shit and did just like try to take his present from him. But then we get to like Jiro's perspective where he's explained to Kotaro, but I can't, you're like telling me I have to eat 7 beans. My brother gets to eat like 11 beans or whatever. That sucks. And he's like, yeah, but like he is old. You will be 11 one day. And he's like, okay, yeah, he doesn't explain this, but it's like the thing where it's like, yeah, he tried to take his brother's present off him, and that sucks. But also like his brother got the better present. His brother did get the better present because he's older. And
to be fair, he asked for it.
He did also ask for a they did ask for their presents.
I do want to ask, is like giving gifts a sentiment thing? Because I'm also just like, why?
I have no idea.
Why are Kotaro
idea.
Why are Kotaro and Kitajima just giving gifts to these random kids? Like, what's up with that? What is their relationship?
They just like doing that. Kitajima and Kotaro are just looking for shit to do.
Is just
like when their job only kicks in one day every week. The other days of the week, they're just having to drive around and find people to chat with.
Yeah.
There's a monster every week, but the rest of the week, job's easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know that I'd take the job. We haven't had fishing Kitajima in a long time. I want to go back to fishing Kitajima.
Yeah. He did it like twice.
He did when he did it that one time, and then he did it again in the background in a second episode, and I was like, oh my god, it's his thing.
Yeah.
And no, it's not his thing, actually. It was his thing for 2 episodes.
Oh, it's just a busy year.
Yeah. And then we get into Kitajima and Kotaro trying to reason with these kids about, like, you know, you should try to see it from the other kids' perspective, and it's like this earnest thing of like, this is a children's show, trying to like convince kids to be like, maybe you should think about this from your siblings' perspective for 5 minutes.
This episode reminded me of like a very distinct memory I have of being like a teenager and like being a little bit upset like with my little sister about some things, and then realizing, wait, this is how my older sister felt about me. Oh no. you know what I mean?
I imagine being like a middle child hits different because you get like both experiences.
There's also a very wide age gap situation going on between me and my younger sister, so like it's wild. The family situation's wild, but yeah.
Yeah. It is funny.
I was told I was gonna be the last, and then when I was 10, that wasn't true anymore.
Yeah.
Damn.
Kitajima just being like, yeah, listen, you know, like, obviously, you know, you're stronger, you'll win any physical fight, you know, you can get your way a lot. And he's like, I guess, but also, he is annoying.
he is annoying. To be fair to Ichiro, he is fucking annoying.
It is funny. Yeah. It's like, he's just like, the thing where he's just like, yeah, you're right, but also, which is a very kid thing to do.
Yeah. Can I Red Law? I have not told any of my relatives this. That when my sister had a kid, I was told that my sister was going to have a kid, but because of the syntax used, because of there was like a missing comma or something in like my dad's manner of speaking at the time, I was like 20 something. And I was just like, oh, my mum's having another kid. I'm gonna have another little sibling. What the fuck? And this lasted through my sister's boyfriend meeting me and asking whether there was going to be any problem, and me being like, why would there be any problem? Why would there be any problem with me and you? What are you talking about?
Oh my god.
So confused.
That's amazing. How did it...
Yeah.
If this is okay, how did this get cleared up? I need to know.
It just... At some point, it just became clear.
Oh, this was...
something else was happening.
There was not a conversation, you just...
Yeah.
Had the epiphany.
I just... Like, at some point...
Actually, epiphany was last week.
Yeah, there was. Oh yeah, because the boyfriend's parents came over at some point, and they had like this whole thing outside in the garden. They were all talking together, and I was like, I don't know why the fuck they're involved. Why do they have an opinion?
Oh, that's amazing.
I was so confused.
Oh, I'm crying.
But yeah, it became clear, and I was like, oh, I can't tell anyone about this.
Oh, I'm crying. That's amazing.
Anyway, we then get the brothers have their thing where it's like one of them is now in peril.
Yeah,
and they tries to save the older brother tries to save the younger brother, and then the older brother is like quote unquote dead, and Jiro's like, I always admired my brother, actually.
He always takes me fishing, unlike Hidejima.
There's a really good shot of this kid eating all the beans within the Zat helmet.
Yes, because Naba gives him the helmet.
Yeah, while, like, gazing off into the sky, and the rest of the crew are just kind of awkwardly looking at him like, oh, we really don't want to have to deal with this situation. This is a rough one.
Where's Kotaro when you need him?
Yeah.
I can't believe Kotaro is dead.
It's what was funny to me was they thought Kotaro was dead after until like late evening.
Yeah, until he shows up throwing beans at them.
Yeah.
They're all like, right, time to go home and have our Setsubun celebration, not to go mourn Kotaro.
Yeah.
It doesn't occur to them. And then Kotaro turns up and they're like, oh, you're alive.
It comes with the line of work.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous episode. I like it a lot. I think this episode's great.
Same.
Go for it.
I think we don't often get like we get a lot of central child dealing with issues, but I think it's fun that it is. I still think about the one brother more than the other, but I think the conflict of children is something we don't often get, and when we do get it, it's not always done well. But I think this is a fun you should take your siblings' feelings and into account and learn how to get along with them, because you got each other and you're gonna have to deal with each other and shit and all that sort of stuff. I think it was a good sibling episode.
Yeah.
Who made it though?
Who made it?
Is Tadashi Mifune and then also Shigemitsu Taguchi.
All right. Cool. Mel.
Special effects director is once again Shohei Tojo. Onibamba, which apparently is also known as Alien Kisaragi for the two different forms she has, because Ultraman is silly like that. She's played by Hiro Kasai, and also obviously does the voice still, and designed by Takashi Shimazaki.
All right. Sick. Do we have anything more to say about this episode? Anything I've missed? Anything we've missed? That sounds like maybe a no.
Nah.
No,
in which case, we kind of alternate. Like we got kind of mid episode, then we got banger, then we got, and then we got another banger.
Honestly, probably for the best we did this batch of 4, because it probably would have been a shame if we only had one good episode this batch.
True, yeah.
God, yeah. All right, well, Mel, do you have color timers for these episodes?
I do. Episode 41, 3 minutes 2 seconds. Episode 42, 1 minute 32 seconds. Episode 43, 4 minutes 40 seconds. Cheating. Go over the line. Episode 44, 2 minutes 30 seconds. And the giant woman counter is at 10 now.
Yippee!
We've now had more giant women than genocides confirmed.
Honestly, as it should be in the world.
I wonder if we're gonna get any more genocides at this point. I don't think we are, which is probably for the best.
They might be too keyed in.
Yeah, I mean, there are.
Yeah, they at this point they might be. The way they kind of depict it's still funny to me how they depicted Ultra 7 and Ultraman in that group episode where they're like a little more biblical than the rest of them.
Yeah.
They're clued in at this point.
I could see us I think the possibility is still there for they just need to put an episode out and then they just create a really cardboard cutout alien species that gets blown up. I think the possibility is always there. But I think there's enough intent to what they're doing now that they're starting to avoid some of that stuff a little more consciously.
Because they are starting to be like, well, we shouldn't kill an innocent kaiju.
Yeah.
So they're probably clued in more into maybe we shouldn't erase a species.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's going to be a point where if it ever shows up again, it'll be more in the non-melt style, where it's an intentionality to it rather than the sort of pulpy sci-fi biblical effect. But we'll see. We got a lot of shows to watch, so.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do you have a runback?
Yeah. So As it turns out, so partly maybe some of this may be just because I already covered a bunch of it in the podcast, but Return of Ultraman trivia is a lot more sparse than Ultra 7 and Ultraman, because we're getting to that era, which means I could just finish it today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go for it.
Yeah. So first of all, there's a couple of, for some special effects directors, I forgot to get some bios, so I'm just going to take that real quick as well. So Koichi Takano did episode 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 26, 27, 29, 30, and 31. He was childhood friends with Satoshi Saburaya and joined Toho for the production of Godzilla Raids Again. Seems he was responsible for mistakenly filming the fight scenes at the wrong camera speed, which he felt bad about. But Avery Tsuburaya thought it was funny and took him under his wing, and later even personally invited him to work at Tsuburaya Productions in 1963 as a cinematographer, and he became one of the founding members of the company. And from there, he'd be special effects director for many Showa series episodes. I don't really get the reason why, but Japanese Wikipedia says he seems to have taken Tetsuo Kinjo's death particularly hard and blamed himself for not reaching out and basically being more forceful in him staying in Tokyo or wherever they're stationed. Because if you remember, Tetsuo Kinjo died after he moved back to Okinawa and then
was fixing his roof.
fell off his roof. Mm-hmm. So he's just sort of I should have done more, and blame himself for that. He temporarily left Super Eye Productions in 1970 to start his own company, but then in 1978 he came back and he became a more directorial role, starting in 81, and became heavily involved with as a director in the Heisei Ultraman series from the 90s onwards. However, because of issues with the company, which I guess we'll get to in good time in the early aughts, he resigned in 2003. And then he passed away in 2008 from lung disease at 73.
Sorry, I didn't catch it. Was it late aughts, you said?
Early aughts, so in 2003.
Early aughts, okay.
Yeah. And then in late aughts, 2008, he died from lung cancer. Or lung disease of some kind. So that's age 73. Also, special effects director Kazuo Sugawa did 13, 14, 18, 19, 22, 23, and 28. Then we got Jun Oki, special effects director for 24, 25, 32, 33. His full name is Junkichi Oki, but was operating under a pseudonym at the recommendation of Kazuo Mitsuda. He joined Super Eye Productions in 1964 after getting a start in the industry working on documentaries. And he worked on assistant director for Q in 66 before making a special effects debut with Kaiji Busuka. As special effects director, he often collaborated with Akio Jisoji, including on his 280 movies, the Ultra Q movie, and Tokyo the Last Megalopolis. At some point,
I really need to fucking watch that thing.
Well, we have it on our
we need to get there.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
There.
At some point, he switched from special effects director to a producer role, which is how he was involved with the Dinosaur trilogy. Then 1996, wrong decade. He died of lung cancer at the age of 56, so pretty young. And so in a couple of Jisoji's 60s, same fucking typo in my mind, not on the page, but saying it. And a couple of Jisoji's 90s Ultraman episodes, he was posthumously credited as producer to honor him. So.
Yeah.
Also, in true Return of Ultraman season fashion for me, there's an Ultra Q director, special effects director, who I forgot to cover. So I'm doing a run back of the Ultra Q run back one last time. Keiji Kawakami, you can go listen back to older episodes to hear what episodes he did. Fuck you. He joined Toho in 1939 during the war and learned special effects under Eiji Tsuburaya. He resigned from Toho / was poached by rival studio Shochiku in 1943 and remained there after the war. He reunited with Tsuburaya after the latter formed his own company, and during his blacklisting period, because that's when Tsuburaya started striking out his own. And then he joined Tsuburaya Productions in 1963, worked on a few Ultra Q episodes, and then left due to various creative differences and dissatisfaction with how Tsuburaya was being run, and some of that may have to do with Tsuburaya basically being a satellite of Toho. And he's like, I want to make movies freely. And then he just joined a different special effects company made of ex-Toho people in 1966. got involved with some like Shochiku's kaiju and other special effects stuff, and then died in 96 from cancer at 73, at the age of 73. So, wait, hold on, right. I fumbled that. His company dissolved in like 69, and then he died of cancer of some form in 73. There's that guy. Now into more kaiju-oriented stuff. Shin Man, also known as Return of Ultraman, names he'll always be known by.
Yep. Designed
by, both the kaiju designers for that season, Noriyoshi Akea and Akihiko Higuchi, have denied designing him. Japanese Wikipedia says that it appears that the special effects marketing guy Masahiro Suyasu, who designed at least one kaiju from Return of Ultraman, basically added some thin red lines to the original Ultraman's design, and then Higuchi kind of finalized it. I was like, okay, that's it, we're doing it. So they made a suit and filmed the first episode of that design. But then the company with the merch rights was like, well, maybe it should be a bit more different, actually. And so they added like a Suyasu then altered the angles of some of the red areas on the neckline and legs to make it a little bit more different. And they had to make a new suit and reshoot episode 1, basically.
That sounds annoying.
Yeah. The mask was based on the Ultraman Type C suit, but they changed the angle of the eyes to be a bit more slanted, but also seems they may have made a bunch of masks with the eyes at different angles and positions. This is also where they started just having the gloves and boots exposed, most because it's just easier to put on that way compared to like Ultraman Original and Ultra 7, where it's like more like a wetsuit kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the kaiju for all those episodes, which end up being really easy. Because basically like, the kaiju for basically all those episodes have the same suit actor, Takenobu Toya, and there's only much design trivia outside of one. Seamon's the exception, because Toya was Seamon's suit actor for a single scene, but otherwise it was the uncredited, enigmatic, quote-unquote, Morihei, which I mentioned last time. The second, we specifically have trivia design stuff on Yedo Karin, specifically, which was the Jiro Rides the Kaiju hermit crab kaiju.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they designed it, obviously, take into account the size of the space station prop, because it'd be on its back. And the assumption was that the kaiju would be on its knees the whole time, so the feet were not flattened, which meant it very difficult, if not impossible, to stand in. And Toya basically had a lot of strain and pain on his knees doing the suit, to the point that like the kaiju designer Yoro Tame is called out for this by staff, like, dude, what the fuck? Maybe you shouldn't have done that. And yeah. That... There. I did it. I finished the run back for Return of Ultraman.
Well done. There will be no more. Yeah.
I might do one last bonus one next week. But
okay.
This is...
Is this about the stuff you were messaging us about?
No.
No, that was something else.
No, it'll be about Eiji Tsuburaya himself, just like it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You did mention that.
The stuff I was writing about is about a different thing. Which you may find out about this week, maybe, question mark.
Gasp.
Maybe. All right. Do we have any emails this week?
Yeah. First of all, I want to, for once, go to one of the YouTube comments we got, because this one's actually matters a bit more. From TF2 Gods, about our last episode.
Okay.
They basically just say that they think the reason why many monsters start to breathe fire is because of changing cameras. In Ultraman and Ultra 7, they could replicate the same effect as a Godzilla's atomic breath because they could draw it on the film. However, upgrading to newer cameras, they could no longer do this, or at least it was much harder to do so. So relying on gas and flamethrowers was just like an easier thing to do instead. In fact, you can notice a few times when the Ultras do their special beam, the quality of the footage weirdly changes, for instance.
Oh, I have noticed that.
So yeah, that's informative. Thank you very much.
Good to know. It is, that is something we have picked up on a lot.
Yeah, and it's just like it's not something we necessarily know, because we do like, obviously we know that the things are progressing, but we haven't necessarily got like info on like the specifics of the camera technology at the time changing. So that's cool to know. And then we got
Cool.
one email.
Shoot.
From Jessica.
Hello, Jessica.
Welcome back.
Hello.
They said this email is Ultra Signatures and Returning Monster Series. Hey guys, been a while. I fell behind for a bit. Still haven't caught up with the arc episodes. That's fine. You got time. We're finishing next week. Very sorry for disturbing you with Ultra Clothes problems, though apparently it was Toru Naruto's original intention that it was unclear if Ultraman was naked or not to emphasize his emphasis alienness. Remember that email, Red?
Oh,
Was this about the red parts of Ultraman being flesh?
Yes.
Yeah, that was horrifying. Thank you so much.
I need to look at Ultraman again just to.
Yeah, look.
Why is he Pooh Bear in it?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, hang on. He's got the thigh highs.
I don't know.
Damn. All right, Ultraman. I didn't know you were like that. All right,
Yeah.
let me check out Ultra 7. Jesus Christ, Ultra 7's not wearing much.
Yeah, he's not. He's free.
He is. He's so free. He's got the vibe of like, if you've ever spent any time online among like Japanese fan artists, you might be aware of the reverse bunny suit.
Yeah.
He's got that vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Reverse.
Oh, you're looking this up now?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I've seen this before. I didn't know it was called that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Continue with the email.
Thank you. Yeah, go for it.
I think this sentence is out of date because I think this past week it was news before it became unnews. With Taro still being unavailable on Tubi at the moment, I believe that was taken down briefly and is now back. I think the episode with the Ultra Brothers uniforms, I think their cowboy monk robes have some scribbles, and if I am remembering those correctly, those scribbles are actually the Ultra Brothers signatures, because the Ultras do have distinct signatures for like live appearance purposes, like if you meet them at a convention and ask them for an autograph or something. Yeah, and yeah, if you notice, they do have that, and also, each in the Tyrant episode, we saw each Ultraman have their own sign as well. And I think it's just a tradition that like every time Subaraya makes a new Ultraman, they have their own like signature. So like
they have their own signature.
So like Arc and Blazer have them. Though I think maybe Blazer's like a scribble or something. I don't know. I need to check because obviously this isn't the side of the fan I especially give a shit about.
Yeah.
If they weren't there in the episode and introduced to you a cool concept for live appearance Ultramans, and she included 3 examples: Ultraman, Zoffy, and Father of Ultra signatures. So I'll just download those and give those to you.
Post this in the thing.
Yeah.
You finally get this face out of the way on Discord.
Yeah, it's been staring at me the whole time.
The nightmare face.
The nightmare face. Okay. So that's
Zoffy.
Is that which one's Zoffy?
Zoffy's the first one. Normal Man is second one, and Father of Ultra is
Normal Man. And the Father of Ultra.
Yeah, first Ultraman.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Father of Ultra, not first Ultraman. In spite of everything.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
In fact, there were Ultramen before the father. He's the father of some Ultras.
He's a father to his men, ostensibly.
He's a father, yeah.
And also Taro's physically a father. Also, apparently.
The Father of
like
Ultra's
Big Boss.
helmet kind of looks like the Nightmare helmet.
Oh,
Yeah.
It does. The Nightmare helmet looks like something I'd equip in Dragon's Dogma. All right.
Yeah. Continuing on.
Go for it.
The Ultra Dynamite is my favorite Ultra attack, so much so that her Ultraman fan OC has all of his attacks be versions of Ultra Dynamite.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, is that the one where he hugs a kaiju and explodes? That was so fucking cool.
Yeah. Taro just does that. It's great. In addition to the original version, his beam is him charging dynamite before throwing the energy forward instead of exploding. He has a defensive technique in the form of remote detonation, Ultra Dynamite, where if a kaiju like Bemstar tries to absorb his energy, he'll just explode his energy that's inside him and kill them because they can't survive blowing up like that. Okay.
I see.
And lastly, the Returning Monster series. If you're tasked to create a 3-episode Returning Monster series, presumably for Arc or in general, if you don't want to touch the airing show for this, what monsters or aliens would you bring back?
So, like, 3 episodes in a row?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the question is, do we do it like this one, where we could deliberately ignore the rules of the original? Well, I guess it's not true for Bemstar, but like, you know, for two.
I do bring back Mephiles, but I make a Mephiles episode.
Yeah.
Like a sensible human being. I'm also bringing back King Joe. Because King Joe's cool.
Yeah.
You'd have someone's found the wreck of King Joe and has repaired it. Like a mad scientist.
It'll be interesting to see which kaiju we get back and when.
A mad scientist repairs King Joe and is like, this is going to be the reincarnation of my wife.
Yeah.
What was the alien? Alien Prot. I do the episode where Alien Prot, seconds after that episode, like the Ultra 7 episode ends, Alien Prot teleports to the world of whatever this current hypothetical show is, and it's just like, where am I?
Okay, yeah.
Also Balloonga, because you gotta, and I don't have a
so
third one.
Fucking sick.
Yeah, the Balloonga comes back.
Yeah.
I do. It'd be fun if they actually did something with you, Tom. Like at all.
With the underground robots? Yeah.
Where's some other ones?
Oh, you know what I do is I do a like a love letter to like Arthur Machen, like Lovecrafty type, like classic cosmic horror using Vacuumon.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one too.
Oh, I see.
Where like shit's going wrong and it's like there's a weird freak thing in the clouds that's causing it.
Seabozu could be fun to come back.
Yeah, you could do. There's stuff.
Oh yes, yeah. Seabozu's hanging around. He did not kill Seabozu because he regretted all the kaiju he killed, and that characterization persisted.
Yeah, it was an intentional character development arc throughout the show.
Yeah, from the beginning. It was the intended arc of the show.
Yeah,
all along.
And that's why, if you think that Ultraman will blow up the baby from Rising, you suck.
Yeah. If we complain about these people a lot, but it is very funny that there are people that are like, can you please stop bringing up the Bolton? Can you please stop mentioning that? I know he genocided the Bolton. Please stop talking about it. You're being annoying.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
He learned his lesson.
Please stop mentioning that in the second ever episode of Ultraman, he killed billions of people of sleeping Boltons. Who were refugees from a ruined planet.
Yeah. No, we can't let them here because otherwise.
It's our plenty.
Yeah.
It's Japan's plentiful. It's Japan's bounty. You can't have it.
Yeah.
The world is Japan.
They sure did try in those first few Ultraman seasons to do that, actually. And then they
tried it. They tried it this show last week.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the reverse in their first 2 seasons. Where they're trying to be like,
oh, they did. The world was Paris.
Yeah, but also just like,
this is true.
We're in Japan, but this is obviously not Japan. It's very secular.
I can't remember. There's like,
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Is they're like, well, yeah, it's supposed to be global, and then with Return, they're like, we cannot. Let's just focus on where we are. That it probably makes more sense.
It is funny that they reprimanded and punished Jisoji for making an episode set
that was
in
too
Japan,
Japanese.
and then Return of Ultraman is like, it's just
That's so fucking wild.
Yeah.
Imagine making a show about for your domestic audience set in your domestic audience.
Well, wasn't it because they were trying really hard to make it go international day one?
That was the point. But then in return, they just gave up because they're like, well,
it's not happening.
We were like, we need to recoup. We need to make a successful thing now, so let's focus on just making a good show that people in the domestic audience will like.
Yeah.
I still have half this email, to be honest.
Go for it. Go for it.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's gonna distract it. I think for me, it would be cool with titles to boot. Invasion from M78 featuring Zarab and Ultraman, where Zarab tells the people of Hoshimoto City that all the kaiju attacks are orchestrated by Arc, so that humanity wouldn't fight back when his people invaded. And then he disguises himself as Ultraman to prove this, but then Shin Hayata, because the actor's still alive and doing stuff, appears before Skip to play innocence, and then Arc and Ultraman.
Is Ultraman still possessing this old man's body?
Yes.
Of course he is.
Yes.
I want an episode of Ultraman about Hayata sitting in his house, just reminiscing on the fact that he never really had a life, because every now and then Ultraman just popped in and snatched him.
There's a quick shot where he goes to warm up some soup, and then you see in his pantry he has no spoons, only forks and knives.
Oh yeah. So good.
The second
and the soup is the goo from the capsule.
Naturally.
Yeah.
I still don't know how I got there.
I don't know how you got there.
You know what? The pickle episode was the goo from the capsule.
No.
Anyways, continue.
The second one's pretty good. Second is Big Mon, Little Mon, featuring Garromon and Pigmon, where Pigmon is sent in by the cicada people as a mascot, so people don't suspect anything when they place Garromon across the city disguised as statues until they attack. And then the main promotional arc is probably something about Shuichido learning not to hate Pigmon. For not,
Man, Shu Ishido should have an episode where he learns not to hate Pigmon. That would be fantastic.
And lastly is Triple Robot Assault featuring King Joe, Crazy Gon, and Dinosaur Tank, in which Alien Pedant launches invasion with the most powerful robot kaiju in the universe.
Jessica, I'm so glad you're robot pilled.
I feel like to survive this podcast, you have to be at least a little bit.
You have to be a little. You have to be the kind of person who's like King Joe and Crazy Gon. Hell yeah.
Yeah. There's at least one person listening. This is these motherfuckers need to shut up about Gundam. There's got to be one person. I'm sorry, whoever that is listening to this. I'm sorry. We're just like this.
You should watch. You should watch Gundam until you become the person who's never shuts up about Gundam. Yeah. I promise it will happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, they launch the most powerful robot kaiju. Arc struggles, and Skip must find a weakness to help Arc win. Because fighting through robots is hard. And yeah, thank you very much for your email.
Yeah,
thank you for your email. Is that just the one email this week?
just the one.
Alrighty, that is us. Next week we are watching 3 more episodes of Ultraman Taro. And yeah,
Arc is done.
Are we finishing Arc next week?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That is manageable.
Yeah. I caught up and watched episode 24 live, and I'm no spoilers, but I think I'm feeling better about going into the finale of Arc than I did going into the finale of Laser. Just personally,
we'll see what the internet comments have to say about that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have it in me to come up with that type of comment just without work. I need to. The fucking.
That's the thing. I you can't just reproduce the guy's typing style.
No, it's incredible.
No.
I wonder how he does it.
Anyway, we should never know.
I feel bad. I feel bad if it was a language barrier thing, but
It's possible. It's possible.
That is the question.
Anyway.
This is my question.
This is my question.
This is my question.
It's such
Next
a powerful
week,
way to end a comment.
Next week, we will be watching 3 more episodes of Taro, and we will be finishing off Ultraman Arc. Join us for that. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Ultra_Q. That is at Ultra_QUEUE. And on Blue Sky, we are just UltraQUEUE. No underscores on Blue Sky. Mel.
Hi. You can follow me at DeCrowns on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can send an email at altqpod@gmail.com. This might be the week to do it, as we're finishing Arc. So if you have any questions about or things to say about the finale of Arc, please send it in. And also, please say that in the subject line so I know to actually read the email for the skipping of the queue, because it's embarrassing if that was the case. And also, speaking of also other ending things, Taro is ending in like a month, so get ready to say anything about the ending of that in like a month.
Yeah, I would be curious to hear what our listenership has to say about Taro. I'm interested in how people are feeling about it.
I know Cydrixa is someone who is actually generally not as high on Taro as other people. I believe that's something that he said in an email before.
He just doesn't have a lot to say. But he is high on Leo.
Yeah, I mean,
he may be back next season.
Cool.
And we also have the coffee HQ Fund. Brad.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere at Be Invoked. That's BEINVOKED. I still need to watch that movie to close up my Idiot rewatch. Lol. It probably a quieter week from me in terms of streams and stuff like that. I have been making very good progress on things in the background, though, that I'm excited about. Yeah. So,
I have something in the background too, which as I tease you, maybe you'll see this or next week what that is. So,
damn.
At least a preview of it. But yeah.
Cool. Teasers. Things I don't know about. Not really.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you next week. Goodbye. Please do not feed weird vegetable kaiju. Don't do. They're very annoying. They make very annoying sounds. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Later.
Chichi